Thank you for granting this adjournment debate on the regulation of artificial intelligence this evening. I declare my interest as set out on the register. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Britain is at a turning point. Having left the European Union, irrespective of what you thought about that decision, we have decided to go it alone. This new chapter in our long history of our great nation is starting to unfold, and we have a number of possible destinations ahead of us. We stand here today as a country with great challenges and an identity crisis. What is modern Britain to become? Our economy is at best sluggish, at worst in decline. Our public services are unaffordable, inefficient, and not delivering the quality of service the public should expect. People see and feel these issues right across the country, in their pay packets, in the unfilled vacancies at work, and in their local schools, GP surgeries, dentists, hospitals, and high streets. All of this is taking place in a quickly changing world in which Britain is losing influence and control. And for hostile actors who wish Britain or the West more broadly harm, these ruptures in the social contract present an opportunity to exploit. Having left the European Union, I see two destinations ahead of us. We can either keep doing what we're doing, or we can modernise our country. If we take the route to continuity, we will, in my view, continue to decline. Fewer people in work, earning less than they should, and paying less tax as a consequence. Fewer businesses investing, lower profits and lower taxes again. Declining income to the Treasury, with no desire to increase national debt for day-to-day spending, forcing us to take some very difficult decisions. A world in which Britain is shaped by the world, instead of shaping it in our interests. Or we can decide to take the route to modernity, where workers co-create technology solutions at work to help them be more productive, with higher pay as a consequence. Where businesses invest in automation and innovation, driving profits and tax payments to the Treasury. Where government takes seriously the need for reform and modernisation of the public sector, using technology to individualise and improve public services, whilst reducing the cost of those services in the process. And where we equip workers and public servants with the skills and training to seize the opportunities of that new economy. A modern, innovative Britain with a modern, highly effective public sector, providing leadership in the world by leveraging our strengths and our ability to convene and influence our partners. I paint these two pictures, these two destinations, continuity or modernity, for a reason, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Because the former, the route to continuity, fails to seize the opportunities that technological reforms present us. But the latter, the route to modernity, is built on the foundations of this new technological revolution. This debate this evening is about artificial intelligence. This is, to be clear, computers and servers, not robots. Artificial intelligence means, according to Google, computers or machines which can reason, learn, and act in a way that would normally require human intelligence, or that involves data at a scale which exceeds that which humans can analyse. These AI machines can be categorised in four different ways. First, reactive machines, which have a limited application based on pre-programmed rules. These machines do not use memory or learn themselves. IBM's Deep Blue machine, which beat Garry Kasparov at chess in 1997, is an example. Second, limited memory machines, which use memory to learn over time by being trained using what's known as a neural network, which is a system of artificial neurons based on the human brain. These AI machines are the ones we are used to using today. Third, theory of mind machines, which can emulate the human mind and take decisions, recognizing and remembering emotions and reacting in social situations like a human would. Some argue these machines don't yet exist, but others will argue that AI such as ChatGPT, which can interact with a human in a human-like way, shows that we are on the cusp of a theory of mind-machine now existing. And fourth, self-aware machines, which describes a machine which is aware of its own existence and has the same or better capabilities than that of a human. Thankfully, as far as I'm aware, these machines do not exist today. Now, this all might be interesting if you're into tech, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but why am I putting it on the public record today? I'm doing so because there are a number of risks that we as a Parliament, and indeed the government, must better understand, anticipate, and mitigate. These are the perils on our journey to continuity or modernity. Basic artificial intelligence, which helps us find things on the internet or helps us book a restaurant, are not very interesting. The risk is low. More advanced artificial intelligence, which can perform the same tasks as a junior solicitor or a journalist or a student who is supposed to complete their homework or exam without the assistance of AI, present a problem. We already see today the problems faced by workers who have technology thrust upon them instead of being consulted about its use. These consequences are real today and carry medium risks. They are disruptive. Then there are the national security or human rights level risks. Live facial recognition technologies which inaccurately identify you as a criminal. A large language model which can help a terrorist understand how to build a bomb or create a novel cybersecurity risk. Systems which can generate deepfake videos, photos, or audio of politicians saying or doing things that are not true, to interfere with elections, or to create fake hostage recordings of your children.
And I commend Darren for Bristol North West for bringing this forward. A very deep subject for the adjournment debate, but one which I believe is really important, and I congratulate him on bringing it forward. Ethics must be accounted for to ensure that any industries using AI are kept safe. One issue that could become increasingly prominent is the risk of cyber threats, and the Honourable Gentleman referred to it, and hacking, through which not even humans can sometimes prevent. Does the Honourable Member agree that it is crucial that our government and our Minister undertake discussions with UNESCO, for one example, to ensure that any artificial intelligence that is used within UK industry is assessed to deal with the unwanted harms as well as the vulnerabilities to attack, to ensure that the AI actors are qualified to deal with such exposure to cyber attacks? In other words, government must be over this in its entirety.
I thank the Honourable Member for his intervention. He's of course right. In the first part of his question, he alluded to the risk that I have just been referring to, where machines can automatically create, for example, novel cyber risks in a way which the humans that created those systems might not fully understand, and which are accessible to a wider range of actors. That, of course, is a high risk, and a high risk that is either increasingly real today or active and available to those that wish to do us harm. The question, therefore, is what should we in Parliament do about it? Of course, we want Britain to continue to be one of the best places in the world to research, innovate, start up and scale up a tech business. We should also want to transform our public services and businesses using that technology. But we must, absolutely must, make sure that we create the conditions for this to be achieved in a safe, ethical and just way. And we must reassure ourselves that we have created these conditions before any of these high-risk outcomes take place, not in the aftermath of a tragedy or scandal. That's why I've been so pleased, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to work with UNESCO, as the Honourable Gentleman mentioned, and Assistant Director General Gabriela Ramos over the past few years on the UNESCO AI Ethics Framework. This framework, the first global standard on AI ethics, was adopted by all 193 member states of the United Nations in 2021, including the United Kingdom. Its basis in human rights, actionable policies, readiness assessment methodology, and ethical impact assessments provide the basis for the safe and ethical adoption of AI across countries. I therefore ask the Minister, in summing up, to update the House on how the Government is implementing its commitments from the 2021 signing of the AI Ethics Framework. And as crucial as the UNESCO AI Ethics Framework is, the speed of innovation requires, in my view, two more things from government. First, enhanced intergovernmental coordination, and second, innovation in how we in this House pass laws to keep up with the speed of innovation. I'll take both in turn. First, on enhanced intergovernmental coordination. I wrote to the government at the end of April, calling on ministers to play more of a convening role on the safe and secure testing of the most advanced AI, primarily with Canada, the United States, and insofar as it can be achieved with China, because these countries, alongside our own, are where the most cutting-edge companies are innovating in this space. I was therefore pleased to see in the Hiroshima communique from last week's G7 a commitment to, quote, identify potential gaps and fragmentation in global technology governance. As a parliamentary lead at the OECD Global Parliamentary Network on AI, I also welcome the request that the OECD and the Global Partnership on AI, or GPAI, establish the Hiroshima AI process, specifically in respect of generative AI, by the end of this year. I question, however, whether these existing fora can build the physical or digital intergovernmental facilities required for the safe and secure testing of advanced AI that some have called for, and whether such processes will adequately supervise or have oversight of what is taking place in startups or within multinational technology companies. I therefore ask the Minister to address these issues and to provide further detail about the Hiroshima AI process and Britain's contribution to the OECD and GPAI, which I understand has not been as good as it should have been in recent years. I also welcome the engagement, Mr. Deputy Speaker, from the United Nations Tech Envoy on this issue and look forward to meeting with him at the AI for Good Summit in Geneva in a few weeks' time. In advance of that, if the Minister is able, I would welcome his assessment of how the British government and our diplomats at the UN are engaging with the Office of the Tech Envoy and how it perhaps wishes to change that in the future. Lastly, I want to address the domestic situation here in the UK, following the recent publication of the UK's AI strategy. I completely agree with the government that we don't want to regulate to the extent where the UK is no longer a destination of choice for businesses to research, innovate, start up and scale up their business. An innovation-led approach is the right approach. I also agree that where we do regulate, that regulation must be flexible and nimble to at least try and keep up with the pace of innovation. We only have to look at the online safety bill to learn how slow we can be in this place at legislating, and that by the time we do, the world has already moved on. Where I disagree is that, as I understand it, ministers have decided that an innovation-led approach to regulation means that no new legislation is required. Instead, existing regulators, some with the capacity and expertise required, but most without, must publish guidance. That approach feels incomplete to me. The European Union has taken the risk-based approach to regulation similarly to the way I described high, medium and low-risk applications earlier. But we have decided that no further legislative work is required, whilst, as I pointed out during second reading of the Data Protection and Digital Information Bill, we deregulate in other areas with consequences for the application of consumer and privacy law as it relates to AI. Surely, we in this House can find a way to innovate in the way we draft legislation, ensure effective oversight, and build flexibility for regulatory enforcement in a better way than we currently do. The current approach is not fit for purpose, and I would therefore like to ask the Minister to confirm whether the agreement at Hiroshima last week changes that position or not. Lastly, I've raised my concerns with the Department and this House before about the risk of deepfake videos, photo and audio to our democratic processes. It is a clear and obvious risk, not just here in the UK, where we will have elections next year, but also in the United States and in the European Union, which also have elections next year. We've all seen the fake picture of the Pope wearing a white puffer jacket created by an artificial intelligence, an image that I saw so quickly while scrolling on Twitter that I thought it was real until I stopped to think about it. Automated political campaign videos, fake images of politicians being arrested, deepfake videos of politicians giving speeches that never happened, and fake audio recordings are already available. And whilst these may not all be of perfect quality just yet, we know how the public responds to breaking news cycles on social media. Many of us look at the headlines or the fake images over a split second, register that something has happened, and most of the time assume it to be true. This could have wide-ranging implications on the integrity of our democratic processes. I'm waiting a letter from the Secretary of State, but I'm grateful to the response to my written parliamentary question today but I invite the Minister to say more on this now, should he be able to do so. I'm conscious I've covered a wide range of issues, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but I hope it illustrates the many and varied questions associated with the regulation of artificial intelligence, from the mundane to the disruptive to the risk to national security. I welcome the work being done by my honourable colleague, the Chair of the Science, Innovation and Technology Committee on this issue, and I know other committees are considering looking at some of these questions as well. But these issues warrant active and deep consideration in this Parliament, and Britain can provide global leadership in this space. Only today, OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, called for a new intergovernmental organisation to have oversight of high-risk AI developments. Wouldn't it be great if that organisation was based here in Britain? If we get this right, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we can take the path to modernity and create a modern Britain that is delivering for the British people, that is equipped for the future, and that helps shape the world in our interests. If we get it wrong, or if we pick the path to continuity, Britain will suffer further decline and become even less in control of its future. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I pick the path to modernity. Thank you.
Thank you very much.